He said the river listens better than most people because it never interrupts. It just waits. I used to think that was beautiful, but now I'm not so sure because silence doesn't mean safety, and still water doesn't mean it's forgotten. They say the river runs through Dunsmuir, but sometimes I wonder if it isn't the river that runs through us, through what we've lost, what we've buried, what we never meant to carry. He taught me how to cast a line, how to feel the weight of what waits beneath. He said, "If you listen long enough, the truth always bites." And that was the last time we ever fished. This is the Vicar's Confession. The River Knows. Brought to you by The Hidden Chapter. Some stories aren't meant to stay hidden. The river has always run through Dunsmuir, but not every village listens to what it says. Generations have fished its waters, baptized their children there, scattered ashes on its banks. They said it was peaceful, calming, safe. But water doesn't forget. It carries everything it's been told, and some things never meant to be heard. This story isn't just about what was buried, it's about what was left behind, and what still waits to resurface. Because memory doesn't always live in the mind. Sometimes it lives in the places we thought we had forgotten. And today, Olivia returns to the river, not to find something, but to remember what she was never meant to forget. The path to the river hadn't changed. Still narrow, still muddy, still pretending not to lead anywhere important. But she knew better now. This wasn't a place for fishing, not anymore. It was a place for remembering, and for things that didn't want to be remembered. The hook came first, tangled in roots, rusted, still curved like it expected to catch something. She stared at it, not because of what it was, but because of what it stirred. A name, a laugh, a voice she hadn't thought of in years. She looked up. Across the river, a man stood there, hands in coat pockets, still, silent. He didn't move, didn't wave, didn't speak, just a nod, and then he turned and vanished into the fog. She stayed there, listening, as if the river might finish his sentence for him, but it said nothing. Only ripples, only quiet, only memory. She followed the curve of the river, not like a path, but like a sentence still unfinished. The wind whispered along the surface. It didn't whistle, it whispered, like it knew the name she hadn't spoken out loud. The journal had said he saw something that day, something the water tried to keep. He wouldn't let go of that hook. Said the fish listened better than people did. I tied that one with red thread, just for him. She didn't know what that meant, not yet. But the closer she came to the bend, the colder her breath became. The trees here were older, wider, their roots like knuckles in the soil. The boy's fishing rod still leaned against the stone, cracked, but standing. She reached for it, and something stopped her. Not a sound, not a shadow, a feeling, familiar, like being watched by someone who had been waiting a very long time. Flashback, soft, flickering in her mind. A boy. Wet sleeves, red cheeks, eyes too quiet for his age, and a voice, not hers, not his, the Vicar's, saying, "He's not ready to remember yet." She blinked. The moment vanished, and the rod in her hand was warm, still warm, like someone had only just let go. She didn't know his name, but she knew where he lived. A crooked cottage at the edge of Dunsmuir, set back from the path, curtains always drawn, the kind of place that breathes the past and forgets the present on purpose. She walked the lane with the hook in her pocket, wrapped in cloth, red thread still glinting beneath the folds. She didn't plan what to say. She didn't need to. The gate creaked. The birds quieted. Her breath made ghosts in the air. She knocked, once, then again. The door opened, just enough. He stood in the shadow, same eyes, same silence. The man from the river. She didn't ask, she didn't explain. She just held out the cloth, opened it, let him see. He looked down, not long, then stepped back and closed the door. No word, no anger, no sound, just the door, clicking shut. Some people carry silence like a prayer, others like a weapon. She stood there for a long time, long enough for the light to change, long enough to wonder if silence could break skin. She never knocked again. She didn't need to. Because sometimes the door doesn't need to speak, to say everything. She didn't come to the river to find anything, not really. She came to remember, to listen, to carry the silence a little longer, but the river had other plans. There, just beyond the bend, where the trees bend low, the mud didn't sit right. It wasn't washed by the current like everything else. It looked placed, disturbed, like someone had touched it, and the river had tried to forget. She knelt. Her knees sank into the slush. She moved the wet earth with slow hands, not looking for answers, just following the ache. And then, her fingers touched cloth. It was small, delicate, still knotted. A child's rosary, buried, half-rotted, but unmistakable. She didn't cry, she didn't scream, she just stared. Like something inside her had finally stopped pretending. The journal had said he came back without his shoes. Didn't say a word, just left the rosary on the pew and walked home. But this wasn't the pew, this was a grave, without a name and without a prayer. And if the boy didn't leave it, then who did? And why bury it here, so far from the chapel? The wind changed, sharp, insistent, and for just a moment. She thought she heard the sound of feet, small feet, running through the trees behind her, but when she turned, there was only fog, only the river, only that unfinished memory trying to surface. The river never spoke a word, but it remembered everything, every step, every silence, every truth that was never said aloud. Some stories are like water. They change shape, but never disappear. They sink into the earth, into memory, into blood. She didn't come here for answers, not really. She came to carry what others left behind, the hook, the silence, the rosary. She came to remember, but remembering isn't the end. It's only ever the beginning. There is something still buried, not just beneath the stones, but beneath the silence. Something waiting to be brought to light. And when she turned back toward the village, the wind shifted, soft, like a voice, almost a whisper. Tell her the river still listens. We don't always bury things with shovels. Sometimes we bury them with silence, with time, with shame, with love. What do you carry that was never yours to hold? What truth might still be waiting for someone like you to bring it back to the surface? Some secrets we inherit, some we choose, but either way, they shape us. So we ask you, what silence have you carried too long? And what story might still be whispering your name through the river of memory? Share it if you feel ready, or simply sit with it in peace. Because sometimes the quietest stories are the ones we're meant to hear the most. This is the hidden chapter, and the truth is still unfolding. If this story moved you, don't let it end in silence. Like it if it left an echo. Share it with someone carrying a quiet truth, and subscribe to uncover what still waits beneath the surface. Because the next chapter is already calling your name. Do return for what's waiting in episode 4.